Hey, welcome to the Have the Show, where you can get ideas to help grow your eco-conscious business. And today I'm very excited to be joined by Julia Fawsley Grant from 4D Coaching. And we're talking about staying true to your founding values. So welcome, Julia. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, everybody.
So Julia is a firm believer that we all make our own luck, which is a very unique concept, and I'm really excited to find out more. And her coaching business was formed on that concept. Julie offers coaching specifically for positive impact businesses. So let's jump straight into the questions. Making your own luck. When did you first embrace this idea?
So I first thought of this back in sort of a previous carnation in the corporate world, where I semi-accidentally got quite a big promotion, and a lot of people said to me, "Oh wow, you're so lucky." And at first I was like, I know, lucky me. And then I thought, actually no, I've worked so hard for this. I've created an opportunity off the back of my own hard work and reputation. And I think in the entrepreneurial world, this is so important, because the number of people who look like an overnight success, or suddenly they have this wonderful business which is just flourishing, and people say, wow, you're so lucky to have such a wonderful business. Look behind the sort of the shiny Instagram or whatever it is, and there is an awful lot of hard work, blood, sweat and tears, spreadsheets, commitment that go into making that happen.
Definitely. I don't think anything is an overnight success. I think it takes years to get there. So you I know you sort of deal with sort of goals, and you work with positive impact businesses and everything as well. So how do we stay true to our founding goals? What it is that sort of set us off in business, and what made us start out?
It's such a good question. I think very often it's hitting upon the right thing, obviously, because you have to really think through what is going to keep you engaged and motivated and inspired for the long run. And sometimes, a course correct is just as important as having that sort of North Star. And it's about constantly questioning what it is you're doing, kind of reinterrogating your values and really keeping them front and center of your mind. Sometimes they don't change. Sometimes they modify themselves a little bit. And sometimes you turn around and you think, gosh, actually went into business 5 years ago and my perspective's completely changed. But I think if you go into sort of a purpose or passionate business, it's really a question of every day you just make sure you check in as to where you are, and keeping that in the forefront of your mind, because I think it's very easy to sort of creep into compromises and kind of making or doing something because it's easy, or it's the path of least resistance. So it's just always about making sure that you're making the right decision for your business, and also checking back in onto, well, what was it that I actually wanted to do? What was my mission statement, whether it's written down, whether it's on your blog, wherever it might be. How do I tie what I'm doing right now back to what I want to achieve?
I think that's really important, and I often sort of find when I'm straying a little bit of courses, just go back to my mission, go back to my vision, and and think, is this a step towards that? Exactly. So speaking of that, sort of how do we get back on track, or realize that we do need to review our goals?
Well, without meaning to sound too coachy, very often recognizing that you strayed off track is a really important first step. I think actually it's more difficult when you don't realize that you've really started to make some sort of fairly serious compromises. And I think at that stage, it's very much about kind of doing the work beforehand. So making sure you've got a really robust support network in place, whether that's family, friends, colleagues, your team, people who really buy into your idea, whether they're working directly with you or not, who can actually say to you, oh, are you sure about that? So I do think it's about having the network around you. I think it's about building up a robust set of practices. So, when you've still got your values front and center, I don't know, is your supplier network aligned with those values? Are you making sure that you're connecting with the kind of customers and clients aligned with your values? You will very quickly be able to see if you're veering off course by the reaction that other people have to what you're doing. And again, I think for most of us, they're front and center of our mind anyway. So just check back in, because it might not be obvious that you're going off course. But if every single day or every single week, whatever it might be, whatever your process is, you look down that checklist or that post-it note and you say, crikey, actually, I think I've gone a couple of steps too far, slightly down the wrong path. How do I address this? So again, it's like it's a constant interrogation of why you went into business, what you're passionate about, who you're trying to help, you know, what your ultimate goal is. So it's hard work. I think it's hard work leading a sort of purpose-led or passion-led business, because you're constantly juggling profit. How much money am I making? Do I have a viable business? With, am I really keeping my core foundational goals in check? So don't beat yourself up if sometimes you have to have quite a sort of tricky conversation with yourself. You know, have that team meeting. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and you know, to have that support community around you, you know, colleagues and that kind of keep you true to your values. And I think that's a great thing about having a checklist. I think, you know, just maybe having that, and each project you look at, just go, you know, does this fit? Does the client fit? Does the values fit? And, you know, tick them off like that. And I know as well, you've mentioned to me that you have been learning all about your online carbon footprint as well. So I would love to find out what you've discovered about that.
Well, Karen, I have to say, to my shame, I've discovered this is even a thing. I mean, this really came as a bit of a thunderclap. I had no idea about this probably until just before Christmas. So, you know, the internet and everything associated with it has the same carbon footprint as the travel industry. I can't remember the exact stat, but it's about 3.7% of total global emissions. So even just knowing that very, very basic stat to me was a bolt out of the blue. So now, in my own micro way, I've been looking at literally the fonts on my website, because as I now realize, different fonts have a different carbon footprint. How big are my files? How big are my photographs? I mean, it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving, because a website is like a bit of a beast. But just having realized this, it's an educational process. And now I'm evangelical to everybody kind of in my community as to, do you know what the carbon footprint of your website is? Because this is such an underreported topic, but actually it's absolutely enormous. If we were all to reduce the carbon footprint of our website by 20-25%, imagine the impact that would have globally, because there are an awful lot of websites on the internet. So yeah, I'm embarrassed to say, even just learning about this subject for me has been a revelation in itself.
Yeah, I think this is definitely, it's becoming a bigger and bigger topic. I know I've sort of spoken to people a lot about it, and I've sort of spoken about it in some of my posts as well. And you know, even just starting with your website hosting, you can get it hosted on a green host, which is run by renewable energy. So, you know, so that's always a good start, because that uses an enormous amount. And just, looking at various different things, and just, I think just tidying up, you know, looking at, you know, are there redundant files or blogs or things like that, which you can repurpose or get rid of, or something like that will all make a difference. So yeah, big subject. And I think we'll see more and more of that coming up in the future.
I hope so.
Yeah. So what is your, so speaking of things eco, what is your top eco tip?
My top eco tip for everybody is look at where your finances sit. This was a big sort of learning curve for me last year. I have a stat for you. Since the signing of the Paris Climate Accord, so 2016, Barclays, I'm using a UK-based bank here, has invested $118 billion into fossil fuels. If you bank with Barclays, your pension, your savings, your current account, whatever it is directly going towards fossil fuel initiatives, which is absolutely staggering, bearing in mind we know the progress that we have to be making. We're already something like 47 years behind the Sustainable Development Goals. So if we all reconsider where we're putting our money, we're literally voting with our wallets. There are some great ethical, sustainable banks out there who use money to reinvest into wonderful initiatives, whether it's around community cooperatives, green energy, sustainable energy, all of the amazing stuff that we know that we're doing. These banks put your money towards those rather than funding another off-sea oil rig. This is such an enormous topic. I know that I, scratched the surface here, but please look into your savings, your pensions, your investments, and see what that money is actually being used to do.
Absolutely, that is such a brilliant tip. Fantastic. And I did an interview with a guy, Adam Cade, in December about sort of finances and pensions. He's an IFA, independent financial advisor. So yeah, that was really interesting as well, sort of looking at where the money goes. But yeah, just looking at your bank account. I mean, I know there's lots of little ones coming up as well online that you can, you can sign up within a day. It's very easy to do that. So I love that. I really love that tip. And I think, yeah, if you've got some more information and links and stuff that you've looked into, we can maybe share that later.
I've got oodles. I'm such a nerd about this, so I'm really happy to answer questions, provide information, send links, anything you want. I am all over it.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, there's your call to action. So all of those of you who are watching the show, if those of you watching the replay, please post all your questions in. Both Julia and I will be on that and help out where we can and answer your question. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Julia. Really
my pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. And thanks to the viewers for watching, and we'll see you same time next week. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.